Welcome back, everyone. So our next panel is Future of Commerce, and I'd like to introduce our moderator, Sri Narasimhan, who is the Associate Dean at College of Computing and does quite a bit of work in the space, so he's well suited to lead us through this discussion. So Sri, it's all yours.
Thank you, Renu. I'd like to briefly introduce our panel members. Yang Adija is the Director for Advisory Practice in KPMG in Atlanta. Kerry Brown is the Senior Director for User Insights and Analytics at Walmart Global E-Commerce, and she's actually located in Silicon Valley. Lyle Sandler is the VP for Design and Consumer Experience in NCR Corporation. And the last person on the panel is Michael Tavani of ScoutMob. He's a co-founder of this company, he's an entrepreneur, and he's doing some very interesting things in the mobile space, as you can imagine, with ScoutMob. So before I even ask them to introduce themselves, I just want all of us to thank them for participating in this panel. So Yang.
Yep. So as you mentioned, I'm a director at KPMG in their advisory practice. And normally everyone thinks of KPMG as one of the big four, and in fact we are. But our particular focus, so my particular focus, is on business process improvement and helping companies improve their effectiveness. But in particular, I'm looking at the digital media space within the sort of changing landscapes, and that goes from the gamut from the consumer market space and how that looks to how organizations and companies are going to be positioning themselves to be able to handle the changing dynamics of new media, right, and actually new commerce as those two merge. My historical background, I've worked for Disney and a few different entertainment companies in the past, and so I have a media background, and that's where most of that will come into play.
One question I have for, I think, all the panel members is we're having this, seeing this increasing influence of social and mobile commerce in this country and probably all over the world. And the question that I think you guys are probably dealing with in your organizations is, how is it influencing, how are these changes in the last few years influencing user behavior, people's behaviors as consumers? What changes do you see in users' behavior at the point of commerce?
You know, consumer expectations are changing. And I have to use my example of my wife, who spends enough to be statistically significant sample, is that I think consumers in the past, you know, may have been told about this and then they'll, okay, I'll check it out, maybe if it makes sense. But I think slowly some of them are starting now to expect, okay, I'm here, you know, now I want to see a discount. Now, can I get enough points? The expectations are there, so they're looking for that. So if you're not playing in that game or in that space, then you are probably being left behind, whereas before you can still compete even if you didn't have that.
So people's, in that sense, the expectations, when I go to a physical place, it's no longer what I had in the flyer last week, but it's right now, what can I get?
That's right. It's no longer how many people you're reaching, but who you're reaching, and that's become sort of the importance of it.
So the question is, how does a firm like Walmart, or any of the firms that you guys deal with, make the shift from I'm set up to do business physically to doing business in this virtual way or in this mobile way, and consumers? How do you make that change in these organizations? And maybe start with you, Yang, since you do a lot of work with a lot of different firms in this.
No, absolutely, and I think that's the challenge. And obviously we'll get some insight from those on the panel. But I think the challenge is there are so many different things that are changing so fast, and how do companies prepare themselves across the organization to manage these changes? You know, one of the things that are coming in, because of the ability for us to interact with our customer base now and have a real dialogue, and that's what the customers are looking for, is a serious dialogue so they can understand where the best deals are and what's going on with products. Well, that's a lot of data that's coming into these organizations. And who's gathering this data? Who's going to be managing this data? And then does the data just stay in the house of the CMO? Does it stay in the house of the CIO? Does the CFO need to see it? You know, our argument is that they do. And so how does that get funneled all the way through? And how does the organization correctly position themselves so that they can then react to the information that they're getting? Because one thing is getting data, but reacting to it so that you are best providing information for your clients on real time.
So one of the things you're telling me is that, okay, so I'm gathering lots of data, terabytes of data, maybe daily, But how do I react? In the past, it used to be you build a data warehouse, you dump it at the end of the week, and then somebody will look at it at the end of the month and do analytics. Right. But now you're saying you're doing sort of online analytics with the store manager or the person helping the customer can react quickly?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, one of the things I was talking to one of our clients, and they were saying, well, you know, we give discounts quite often, but the way we handle those discounts in accounting creates a nightmare for them on the accounting side. So imagine now you're giving, you know, through Scout Mob and others, you're giving more real-time discounts and or, you know, promotions. How are you handling that? And then how does your sales force look? How does your retailers' contracts, how do those look and how do those change? How does your relationships with your advertisers change? And so all of those things need to be revisited.
So it's both an opportunity and a headache for the marketing folks.
Yes, exactly. One
question that comes to mind with commerce, and you guys have touched upon it, is this world of physical stores. So are there lessons from the Apple Store that other vendors could use, other brands could use, or is that a model that's not easily replicable?
So, and just to quickly, new technology is great, and I think sometimes we get caught up in the fact that there's new things and ways that we can do things. And I think someone said that it's most of this that's happening that's going to happen, that we're going to see take place is going to be with and not instead of. You know, so yes, we will see transitions from sort of typical purchases and maybe even enhancements to how people purchase, but I don't think we will all purchase virtually, and but there will be brick and mortars that will be around. How we use them and interact with how we get discounts and how we use our technology will change.
I have another 25 questions, but we're going to hold off on those. And Andy out here is a mic, and we'd like to go around the room and for folks out here to ask some questions of our panel members.
Any thoughts about Square Up and how that may be disruptive to how you do business? Maybe for Yang?
For how I do business?
For retail stores doing business, of the impact of this alternate way to do credit card processing.
Right. It's the consumer experience and the consumer ability to get the product when they want and how they want it at the price they want, which will be important. I think the biggest change for retailers and probably some of the larger companies is going to be factoring in the quick adjustment or real time of pricing changes, because if you want to see, if let's say someone bought a pair of sneakers, and well, sneakers go with socks, and so if they get a discount, that's with socks. If I'm a socks manufacturer, was that priced into my forecast? Was that in, how do I quickly make sure that I'm adjusting to that and I get that into my complete system and structure?
Question, sir.
I'm really curious as to what you envision over the next 5 to 10 years in terms of the true existence of brick and mortar.
I'll give a first crack at that. I mean, my opinion is I feel that, not all of these brick and mortars are going to go the way of the milkman. That they will still be there to provide a service to customers. So there's going to be some touch and feel that customers are going to want to always have. And whether or not that's going to be the main way that they're purchasing their products, it depends on the product. I mean, yes, I can try things online, and even I know someone's developing an app where you can try it on. You can take a picture of yourself and try it on, and then share that with with your friends, and they can comment on that, and that's great. But I still think that there's going to be a place for people to get touch and feel, and that will still be the brick and mortar.
Thank these panel members, Yang, Kerry, Lyle, and Michael, for their time. Some of you have traveled from far away. And I know, Michael, you've traveled, and you also from Atlanta. But again, thanks for sharing all your insights and what's happening in the world of commerce. We had some really interesting discussions. I also want to thank the audience members for asking some really good questions. Thank you all very much.